was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
Look out for Charlie.
I want to answer a couple questions and statements made as well. In my video where I was talking about persistent contrails in my last video, somebody said, well, they airbrush magazines. Look, BMX Plus and Freestyling and Thrasher and all those magazines did not have the budget to airbrush out contrails like it's Playboy or something. And for example, here's a newer ad from a magazine where you can clearly see the persistent contrails, and they wouldn't do that anyway back then because they were trying to normalize this. They're putting it in video games. If anything, they would go back to the old ones and digitally put them in and say, hey, see, they were there. So that's not true. You can go through new magazines, new BMX magazines, and see contrails all over the place. They're not airbrushing in a perfectly blue sky, especially with the budgets that they have. They have a very low budget. Now here, somebody said, why don't you cover gang stalking too? That would be super interesting. Here's why I don't cover gang stalking. I've had a lot of weird experiences in my life, but I don't know anything about gang stalking. I don't know anything about it, and you do not want to learn something from somebody who knows nothing about it. If I don't know anything about it, I can't give you advice on it. I can't tell you anything about it. I have theories about the whole thing, but you don't need to hear my theories. That's why I don't talk about it, and I won't talk about it. And that's that. Now I want to talk to you about psychic driving. A little bit. Psychic driving is repeating words or phrases in somebody's sleep or while they are awake or while they are put into an induced coma or a state of unconsciousness. These are real. This isn't conspiracy theory or whatever people want to talk about. Let's learn a little bit about it. So here we go.
By far the most chilling experiments we have uncovered took place at this Gothic estate called Ravenscrag. It was here that the CIA funded a series of experiments, severe experiments. The work was done by the Institute's then director, Dr. Ewan Cameron. It is the closest experimentation to brainwashing yet disclosed. His work, unprecedented in psychiatry, consisted of three areas which he called sleep therapy, psychic driving, and the ultimate depatterning.
Let me tell you something too. When they put people into a state of stress and panic and fear, that is a form of depatterning. It's just like boot camp. Boot camp is a form of depatterning. These are all forms of depatterning. So when somebody is going through high stress and they play into it and play the game, they are playing along in their own depatterning so that their personality can be changed.
He would attempt to implant new ideas in the mind of the patient.
Now, to a layman, it would appear that Dr. Cameron was trying to take the slate and wipe it clean, the slate being the mind. In other words, brainwashing.
Exactly, that's a very good comparison.
Brainwashing.
Yes.
Val Orlico of Winnipeg, Canada, was a patient of Dr. Cameron's. She entered the Allen Memorial Institute because of severe depression.
Most of these people that went into these old psychiatric clinics didn't hear voices, didn't have like crazy things going on. Most of it was for like feeling down, postpartum depression, shit like that. And when you hear the stories of all these people, it was really not severe stuff that they were going in for. And then they came out completely screwed up.
The therapy and psychic driving treatment that she was given by Dr. Cameron. The next step was what he called psychic driving. This involved almost endless tape-recorded messages. Cameron wrote that this was the way to make direct controlled changes in personality. He carried out these experiments in something he called the sleep rooms.
People in there were like babies. They cried and they were very disoriented.
So they would play messages like, you know, it's the government, or you killed your mother, or, you know, any number of phrases over and over and over. Like I said, this can happen to anybody in an awake state, subconsciously, to somebody sleeping, to somebody in an induced coma. There's something really crazy going on that I want to show you. I caught this signal coming off the smart meter at about 2:33 in the morning, and this is not the first time that I've caught this, and it certainly won't be the last time I caught it. But either way, I caught it. When I say that it's coming off the smart meter, that does not mean that it is originating from the smart meter. It can merely be riding on the smart meter and getting into the signal and then getting into the wiring of a home. But this appears to be a psychic driving signal that is repeating something over and over. It almost sounds like a Imperial probe droid on the frosty land of Hoth sending out a signal. This goes on and on and on. In this clip, it goes on for 6 minutes. I won't play the whole thing, but I'm going to play it long enough that you can understand that it is the same thing being repeated a little bit different from time to time, but the same thing, and it is clearly a signal repeating something, and it sounds an awful lot like psychic driving. Here we go. So this goes on for 6 minutes and 22 seconds in this clip. This went on for hours in the original recording, hours and hours. And it was 2:33 a.m., right around the time that people are sleeping. And this repeating signal comes in, just repeating these phrases over and over. Here is a pitched version of that where I pitched it up a little bit, and you can kind of hear it better. And it almost has like a female hypnotist sounding tone to it, just repeating this phrase over and over. So this was riding into the house on the wiring, which is running into every house. So where I picked it up is not special. So this psychic driving appears to be going to every house, and it was picked up at the smart meter. It appears that psychic driving is being used everywhere, every night. Imagine what you could do with this. The possibilities are fucking endless. And I wanted to show you that and how important that is. And that's it for now. Look out for Charlie. That's it for now. Look out for Charlie.
Oh, man. I like this kid. This fucking guy's crazy.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.